What's up, people? This is your boy, Staff D, and this is another Thinking Out Loud, Dangerous Mind podcast. It's been a few weeks, maybe a few months, but we are back. What's up, bro?
What it do, man? What's going on? What's up with you? What's up out there? Glad to be back. Glad to be doing this again. Hitting y'all up with more dangerous thoughts.
Yeah, we gonna step on some puddles of trouble, possibly.
Yeah,
some puddles of controversy tonight, but hey, we wouldn't be the Dangerous Mind podcast if we didn't do it. So, but yeah, man, let me say we apologize for the long hiatus, but to the few faithful listeners that we do have. Just found out that it's a lot of folks listening that we don't know was listening. So hopefully we can draw even more people into listening to us, kind of give our opinions and thoughts, our Christian filtered thoughts on all things, that's going on, whether it pertains to us as believers, stuff outside of that, things that impact us, that's happening in the world. And, so, that's what we're here to talk about. Boy, it's been good with you, man.
Oh, man, just dealing with life, man, being a husband, fatherhood, work, man. And then trying to, this Christmas season, man, trying to get things, squared away and together, trying to, finish my Christmas shopping, which I know it probably makes me sound like a horrible person, because I know there's a lot of folks I talk to who they already got their Christmas shopping done, but I'm sorry, I'm not one of those.
I think we got one gift so far, and we got that a little bit earlier today, and so we still got to do ours.
Okay, I don't feel so bad then.
Don't feel bad. No, it's been kind of wacky, man. It's been a wacky year.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I can definitely say that for myself. It's definitely been a wacky. I would definitely say a wacky year. I would have to echo your sentiment. Financially, it's been a wacky year.
Yeah. Financially, what's going on in the country, our government, everything's been wacky, man.
Oh man, dude, man, talk about it, man.
So anyway, not to drag things on. Yeah, I just wanted us, to apologize for the long hiatus. We've been gone for at least a good month and a half, 2 months
since October. Since our last transmission was October 24th, man. So,
yeah. So and we had intentions on jumping on many times, but like you said, being a husband, a father, working, trying to find time to do it where you can just sit there and focus on it without being distracted and not want to, kind of place your wife in a position she don't feel like being in, with trying to put babies to sleep and just trying to keep peace. Sometimes we couldn't jump on, but here we are, right before the Christmas holidays. The holiday hit. We're gonna give you one before the New Year hit, so we should be good. But anyway, we're gonna bypass what you've been doing, man, just to save some time.
Yeah.
So the title of this particular podcast is Low Morals, No Standard. And man, it's been so many topics we wanted to hit on. We had some good topics, and we probably still hit on those. But as you miss dates and miss opportunities to talk, new things happen. And this happened. We didn't even get a chance to talk about this when it was kind of fresh, but it still is a topic. And there's two topics we're going to hit. We're going to talk about the whole Roger Moore situation and
Roy Moore.
Not yeah, I said Roger Moore. Yeah, Roy Moore. I got to change that in the description. I said Roger. But yeah, Roy Moore and the situation with him in what state was that?
This is Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Him trying to win the Senate seat. Ain't that right?
Yes.
And was it Doyle?
I believe it is Doug Jones.
Doug Jones won. And the whole situation surrounding that, the whole thing with Roy Moore, all the accusations, and the fact that a large supporting cast for him were, and we just had to put it out there, white evangelicals. And
Trump supporters,
but a large portion of Trump supporters are white evangelicals. Are white evangelicals.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is that's equivalent.
I hate saying it because I know every white person that is an evangelical is not necessarily a Trump supporter, but
no, just 81%.
There's a large portion. I would say.
Yeah, just 81%. That's it. Not everybody.
That's what I was gonna say. So it's like when I said I don't be wanting those who I'm not supporting, but it is 81%. He did have 81% of the white evangelical vote, and they were coming out in droves in support of Roy Moore, in spite of the accusations of not just sexual harassment and sexual predator-like tendencies, but on minors. So this was getting off into statutory type rape type stuff, pedophilia type stuff. And despite all that, a large portion of evangelicals, white evangelicals, still supported Roy Moore. So the question is this a black eye? And you kind of brought this up, so I don't want to steal this. You kind of asked the question, is this a black eye to the church in large? When those outside the understanding or belief structure of Christianity look in and see Christians, evangelicals, whether they be white, black, or otherwise, in this case, majority white, but there was some black. There are some blacks that were standing in support of Roy Moore.
Yes,
what does this make us look like? Does it directly impact what we tend to stand on as being those people with morals and those people who have righteous standards? Does this counter that understanding when folks look on? Does it kind of, saying, do we take a blow? Do we take a hit because of our position, or those who represent Christianity chose to stand in lockstep with Roy Moore? And then the second part is we're going to talk about is mere accusation enough to be guilty nowadays? Is the mere case of being accused all is needed to be guilty? So let's tackle the first part, and then we'll transition into that second part, because I feel like more prominent names and faces will pop up on the second part. But this first part. So before you talk, well, go and give your initial thoughts on this, and then I'm gonna set up this video from a CNN panel, and something said that really stood out to me. Go ahead.
What I'll say is that it actually kind of is a nod to what we're gonna be discussing on the second half. And that's that when I first heard this, um, it kind of made me. I kind of wondered. I'm like, okay, in light of all this going on, I'm like, okay, is this where's this coming from? Uh, and I guess the disclaimer is like, now I guess I got to put out like, I by no means mean to be callous, mean to be insensitive, mean to be uh, misogynistic or anything like that by any of the statements that I'm going to say. I'm sure that they making be construed that way or taken that way. Um, I am fully wholeheartedly against anybody uh, you know you know abusing someone's sexually abusing someone, or whether it be an adult female or a minor, in the case of the allegations and accusations against Roy Moore, or when you get to the people like the Weinsteins and the Matt Lars, who have been accused by adults. I'm totally against any of that, you know. But at the same time, uh, I must admit, and I know this will be construed as, oh, this is just your male privilege and male chauvinism and misogyny, but I have to admit that when I first heard this, what first came to mind was like, well, you know, what where's this coming from? What's behind this? Um, you know, is this legitimate? Because I am one who does believe that if people want to get rid of you and really want to silence you, they have ways of either digging up stuff in your past or creating creating a narrative uh, to discredit you. Um, many people say that when they refer to movies and music, they say art imitates life. I'm one who believes that. I believe that there are many things that we see depicted in movies and TV shows that have some semblance or have some bit of truth to it, some shred, at least a shred of truth to it. Uh, and I've seen countless films where uh, people, in order to maintain a certain narrative, will go as far as to discredit somebody to get a certain type of to basically kind of get ahead of someone. Like, say for instance, someone has incriminating evidence against me, and I'm a very powerful person. Well, I can get ahead of the game and discredit that person so that whatever information they come out with, they look crazy when they come out with it. And so they're totally discredited. And so no matter what they say about me, it means nothing by the time they release it. A movie that puts this in mind. I know this is kind of a far-fetched movie, far-fetched example, but I still feel like it kind of at least is somewhat analogous to this point I'm trying to make. And that's the movie Enemy of the State, where Will Smith's character uh, happened to come in contact with a videotape that had very, very incriminating evidence against a very high-ranking governmental official, and uh, and because he had this, they went out of their way to ensure that before he ever even got the opportunity or chance to even, uh, I would just say, see the tape, let alone release it, they had already started and began to discredit his character. And so, making up things to where, it even got to the point where it began to kind of put a split within his marriage. So my thoughts were, my thoughts began to be like, what's behind this? And the reason why is because there was all, just there's been this big, just overwhelming push now, as a frenzy of accusations and allegations that are coming out now. And by all means, I do believe that those who have been assaulted and been abused and have been done wrong, by all means, they do need to come forward. And by all means, they do need to be heard and their voices to be heard.
Well, we don't want to get too
Yeah,
far ahead.
yeah. I know. I'm just saying. So, but just to, just to put it out there, my first thought was like, well, where's this coming from? You know,
Okay.
is is this legitimate, or is it just someone trying to silence him? Because he is somebody who has championed Christian values. He was one who defended having the Ten Commandments in the courthouse and things of that nature. And that is a very real battle in our country. We do have a somewhat of a fight for the secularization of this of our country.
Okay.
But so yeah, I would say that was my thought. Like, well, man, where's this coming from? But at the same time, I also was like, well, okay, if this is the case, then let's see how this is handled. Let's see what's going to be the response to this. What's going to be, how are people going to respond to him?
Let's go ahead and play this, and then we'll unpack all this. Let's at least get this set up so we can unpack it more.
Okay.
All right. So this is basically Frank Schaeffer on MSNBC, and he says something very interesting to me. And I kind of showed this to Trev, so I kind of moved it up to the spot to where he's talking. So I want y'all to pay close attention to what he's saying. This kind of plays into the questioning that me and Trev are asking tonight. Here we go.
Accusing a man of sexual misconduct. One would think that just the volume of them gives credibility to each. They're being empowered by each other to come forward. Have you ever heard or known of a man who's had multiple accusers come forward and accuse them of sexual misconduct and they be completely innocent of it? Does it make sense to you?
One thing I've never, not at all. And one thing I've never heard of is a man accused by these many credible people that white evangelical Christians, 83% of them, then march out and vote for because they have traded a lust for power and revenge on what they regard as a liberal elite for the least vestige of moral principle. Listen, I'm a man, I'm 65. I lived in the 70s. I was a movie director of crappy movies in Hollywood for 4 years. I made 4 films. I lived in the movie business and so forth. I have not lived a sheltered life after I left the evangelical world. And even in Hollywood, when someone comes forward, like Harvey Weinstein or whatever, who makes excuses saying, well, those were the days and that's how it was. Look, I went to a boys' school. Those were not the days. Jerks, creeps behave like this. We have a creep for a president. And one thing that I think we just need to make very clear, what a sad day that we're sitting here on television talking together about a time of history when spiritual revival and any real sense of spirituality, decency, and goodness is so far away. We are parsing the details, comparing a president who is sitting in office right now in the Oval Office, not even to mention the Russia connection, the fact that his family is a family of scam artists with basically accusations coming out the kazoo of everything from money laundering to handing the Chinese sweetheart deals because you're related to the president. Forget all that. We're sitting here talking with a couple of pastors and the son of an evangelical leader about who put whose hand up some woman's skirt on an airplane, who fondled a teenager. Look, I get up every day and I care for 3 grandchildren of mine, ages 9, 7, and 3. They are my heart. All right. I am trying to send them into a world that is so bankrupt in our country now of spiritual value and morality that I despair. That's the real essence of where we are today. Despair at what's happening.
Okay.
There you have it. Now, what stood out to me was, and this is kind of how I feel viewing some of this stuff, the fact that we do have pastors and church leaders and those who proclaim to be of the Christian faith and that stand in proxy for people who don't have the best interest for people. We call them Christians because they do certain things that I guess support our cause, whether they're good people, whether their morality is legit or earnest, whether they're honest people, whether they have standards, because they align with me politically. We push aside any righteous moral judgment just so our political views and our political stances are supported and held up. And he, like he said, here we are. And if you had watched the whole thing, it was a pastor on before him, literally, in most cases, was just lying and butchering scripture. And he said, why are we sitting here talking about these type of things? Where is the morale? Where is the standard? Where is the righteous conviction of a person who claims to be led and filter their thinking and their positions through Christian values? Where is that being displayed, and where have we as a nation lost that? Or let's forget that. Where have the ones who, the 83% that he said and the 81% that we're talking about, let's say, went up? What has happened to the Christians? That's basically what he asking. Yeah. What has happened to Christians? What has happened to those who follow Christ, those who read the Bible, those who proclaim to believe what it teaches? None of these actions reflect those teachings. Now, getting to is it Roy Moore?
Yes.
Roy Moore is innocent until proven guilty, right? Let's first of all, because that's going to play into our second conversation.
Yes.
These are just accusations. These are not. Now, what he said, there's some very replicable, very credible
witnesses
that are testifying against Roy Moore. Some of this stuff was known. This ain't really new stuff. These accusations has been raised against him for a while. This is known accusations against him from credible sources. Even though he has he deserves to go through due process. The question I have, and I want you to talk about with you, Trev, is, in light of that, should the church, and specifically white evangelicals in Alabama and some black, so let's not just make it all white, should they have stood in proxy for this man so staunchly in light of these accusations? Should they have stepped back and looked like, man, look, we're not saying you're guilty, but we can't support you, and we don't know what you really have done. We need to let you go through your process, and then if you come out to this stuff was not true, then we can support you. But if this stuff is true, we support you, but we can't stand beside you as if we are condoning these situations. Like, what is your thoughts on that? Like, let's tackle that first. Should the church or the evangelicals in Alabama stood so close and rallied for Roy Moore so hard like they did before he lost?
I would say that, I guess, to kind of echo what that gentleman said, I don't think I would say it's just, I guess it depends on the motive. First off, now if the motive is like what the gentleman said on the in that clip you played, where it's this lust for power, that they want revenge against the liberal elites, then absolutely they should not stand by so staunchly, next to him, because it more than really it being loyalty to him and trying to come to the defense of someone that they truly believe in. More so is like, no, he he's our meal ticket to power. He's our meal ticket to maintain you know, make sure that we can strong arm our way back into you know, militancy in Alabama government and into Washington D.C. to have a representative, a Republican representative in Washington to push our agendas, to push our causes, to push what we want to push. I would say they shouldn't be so willing to stand closely, not blindly. Now, I say that cautiously. I do mean not blindly, but at the same time, I guess if I look at it like myself, if I put my shoes in Roy Moore's shoes, and I get allegations and accusations against me, I would be hoping that people would that people would give me that my supporters would give me the benefit of the doubt, and that they wouldn't just immediately turn on me, unless facts came out. And I emphasize the word facts. That like facts come out that oh man, like this dude was on some foul stuff. Like he really did. He really did some horrible things. Yeah, this guy's no good. And so yeah, we need to distance ourselves from him. So I think about that, but at the same time, ultimately I would say no, they shouldn't have just been so willing to go so hard for this dude. What I would say is blindly. To me, from where I see it, it was just it did seem like it was a power grab. It was an attempt to cling to power. But I won't say everybody. I think there was some people that sincerely were supporting him because of his because of his track record, and also because of what he stood for. I think many of the evangelicals, I think many of them are supporting him because of his evangelical stance. Like I said, he supported the Ten Commandments being kept in the courthouse, and he stood for different issues that dealt with that align with Christians, a Christian worldview to some degree.
I want to
go ahead.
No, I just saying like to me, when you say they stood by blindly, I don't agree that they was blindly supporting. I believe some were, like you just said, really believed that this man was a good man based on his track record, service served to the country, some of his positions with certain things that, a Christian person, would think is great, like, keeping the 10 Commandments in the school and prayer in school, stuff like that. Of course, we can be suckers for that type of stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think there were more people standing in line with him because of the political climate that we're currently living in. And it's party versus party. Yeah. And he gave them the best chance of maintaining the status quo in Alabama with the Republican representing Alabama. And this was their opportunity to, like you said before, I don't think they was blindly doing this. I think this was intentional.
Well, you do understand what I mean by blindly.
I understand what you mean by blind, but
meaning they see the wrong, but they choose to ignore it.
Right. So that's what I meant. Like, to me, that's why I don't call it blind. Blind to me, and I understand what you were saying. I'm not knocking what you're saying. I'm saying I wanted to bring.
It's blind devotion is what it is. Yeah. It's like they see it's wrong. They know it's wrong, but it's how people were with Trump.
There was a woman. You're going where I'm going. That's why I'm saying it's not blind. It's because blind to me. And let me get my criteria for blind.
It's figurative
Sad is figurative.
I know. Look, you trying to act like I'm saying you said something wrong, bro. I'm not. I'm saying this for the people listening who might not understand what you're meaning, and that's why I'm saying I wouldn't say blind. I understand what you mean is blind loyalty, but in my opinion, nothing about this is blind. It's very understood. They know what they're doing. I would say anybody, the people that were blind was the ones who didn't think Trump would win based on what we all thought. We were blind. that's who was blind. me, you, and the rest of America who thought, no, we too good. We ain't that messed up yet that we'll put Trump in office, and we did. They're not blind. I understand what you're saying, and I ain't saying you say anything out of that's off. I just want to bring context to what you're saying, because you're saying they knew, and they know why they're doing it. They know this was wrong, but they don't care that it's wrong because their agenda matters more to them than what they know to be wrong. And when we was talking earlier, I said it's like Barabbas. They knew Christ wasn't guilty. They knew Christ. They should have chose Christ, but Christ didn't fit their agenda. So they intentionally chose Barabbas. They purposely chose Barabbas because Barabbas fit into their agenda of getting rid of Christ. In the same sense, it ain't just Roy Moore that's the problem. It's the whole political climate that evangelicals, and particularly 81 to 83% of white evangelicals, have latched themselves to where they trade in what they know to be right for what they want in power and in control. The thing is, I don't want abortion. The thing is, I don't want same-sex marriage. And if I have someone in office that can push my belief structure, that's what I'm going to put in, despite who they are personally. I don't care about who they are. They could be scum. As long as they're pushing my agenda, I'm going to vote them in, despite them not being qualified, not being morally qualified, promoting racism and division, everything that would be contrary to what our Bible teaches us. They push past all that knowingly and put this person in office so that they can have what you said earlier, someone in position to peddle and push their agendas and stand on their agendas. And to me, that's why I say I know what you mean when you say blind. I know it's a figurative. I'm just saying I don't even want to use it that way. I don't even want to give them the figurative. That's what I'm trying to say. I want to say this is intentional. This is premeditated. This is calculated. This is strategized. You know, they ain't just heel torn through this. They know exactly what they're doing. And to me, that's why, you know, where's the morals, where are the standards? Because I guess for me as a person really starting to pay more and more attention to politics, I'll be honest with you, Trev, I did not believe that we were, as believers, played this way in the way that we vote. I think this time around I was highly shocked. I was even shocked, but I'm shocked by what I'm seeing today amongst evangelicals and the church and how we vote and why we vote the way we vote. It's shocking me, you know what I'm saying, as a believer. I know we had a Republican Democrat dynamic, always existed, but even I told you, if he was a Democrat, and I don't claim neither are, we was talking about this. If Donald Trump was the Democratic candidate and Hillary was the Republican candidate, I would have voted for I wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If John McCain was the Republican candidate and Donald Trump was the Democratic, I would have voted for John McCain. That's literally, I would have voted for what was it, Mitt Romney? Or is it So, like, this dude does not qualify, but skip him. Roy Moore has all these accusations, and like I said, he's innocent until proven guilty. But the fact that these accusations are as serious as they are, I feel like agenda got ahead of moral. And I'm going to stand by a person that might have raped kids to push my agenda. Yeah. And that says a lot. That says a lot, bro.
And this evangelicals, of which well, anyway, I'm not going there. Anyway, evangelicals,
you better tell me offline what you.
Yeah, I will, and then you probably already know what I was. You probably know where I was going. But anyway,
I'm not for sure. I'm curious.
Evangelicals fail to look at the long game as it pertains to us as believers. Like we're so busy looking at this from a political standpoint and attaching it to our faith, and basically, like, what we're doing, instead of bringing our political activism in under the lordship of Christ, we're trying to bring our faith kicking and screaming under the lordship of our political affiliations.
Yeah.
But because they're so joined at they've been so infused and joined at the hip, many of these evangelicals, they can't tell the difference. They think one is they're one and the same. That basically a good Republican his values is biblical, right in line with the Bible. And what many of them have to realize is that like racial and social discrimination is a sin too. Not just homosexuality, not just abortion. Those aren't the only sins. Racism is a sin too. White supremacy is a sin too. And those are things that the other party seems to kind of have inroads and a lot of leans to. Now, I will say this: I'm not saying that white supremacy only exists in the Republican Party. It exists in the Democratic Party as well. The Democratic Party actually they were the supporters of slavery. Of course, the Democratic and the Republican Party's aims and values seem to kind of switch around about the time of FDR or of Franklin D. Roosevelt with the New Deal, and then that's around the time when more minorities begin to push and support the Democratic Party. Anyway, but back to my original point. These Christians, these evangelical Christians who are supporting people like Roy Moore and Donald Trump, they fail to realize what message they are sending to the rest of our nation and our country about us as believers and about what we stand for. They're basically saying that we preach and proclaim a Lord and a Savior and a Redeemer who we proclaim to be the spotless, flawless, sinless Redeemer and Savior of the world, who we refer to as the Lamb of God without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. But the leaders that we uphold and the leaders that we'll bleed and die for, our civic and social and political leaders who we push and get volatile and hostile about, are people. Now, they're not supposed to be perfect. I'm not saying that, but they will have like shoddy or very, very troubling things about their past, or in the case of Roy Moore, he has these allegations, and it's like no matter what's being said about him, people are just like, no,
Nah.
Go.
We would
Yeah.
not be detoured
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
It is always some twist. And they became masterminds of twisting the narrative and spinning it to where is you against. They make that against is basically the lawless against righteousness.
Yes.
Even in Roy Moore, Trump is lawlessness against righteousness. Like this is amazing. But you said something that I wanna echo. This is not just amongst Republicans, and we got to be careful.
I was wanting to hit that. I'm glad you went there. I'm glad you went there.
Because the second topic when we're talking about is accusation enough. That's being spearheaded by the liberal thinking groups. But before we get there though, because we had to open up Pandora's box there too. What I'm also starting to see, Trev, is the fact that we really don't put. Well, let me stop saying we. I preached on this Sunday a little bit. I touched on faith and hope, and we know that Christ is our hope, right? Those who allow their political parties and their political stances to dictate their Christian values and judgment, or let me better say, filtering their Christian values through their political leanings, are actually putting their trust and confidence and faith in their political parties. Meaning, you don't really trust Christ, you trust the Senate, you trust the president, you trust those who can make the laws or pass the laws or pass the legislation that leads your way. So you're really not putting your trust in Christ, because if you put your trust in Christ, that would directly make you question why you standing so strongly with this guy with these accusations. I'm not telling you not to love him. I'm not telling you not to pray for him. But standing in, like you said, blindly supporting him or recklessly supporting him for your own gain shows that your faith and trust is in the system, and you need him to get into this seat, the Senate seat, so that you can feel secure in what you believe and stand on. Because you need him there so he can pass the law, or he can keep you can have a voice through him for what you believe and what you think should be. And to me, that makes me feel like you're putting your faith in the Roy Moores, you're putting your faith in the Donald Trumps, you're putting your faith in the Republican or Democratic Party for that instance, not just target Republicans. But as evangelicals or as Christians, or as Christ believers and Christ followers, we should filter all of what we do through him. And like you said, it ain't just LGBT that the Bible might talk against. It ain't just some of this other stuff. Racism is under there.
Yeah.
Not looking out for the poor is under there.
Yes, absolutely.
Not being fair, treating people right, all that, looking out for your neighbor, all that is under there. And those will be considered sins if you don't do it. So when you lean certain ways that, you trade, abortion, we can't have abortion, but we should feel the same way about racism. We can't have the LGBT community, but we should feel the same way about poverty. So anyway, go ahead before we move to the next topic. Go ahead and add what else you feel like saying on this.
You were hitting right on there, man. I mean, it's like, I'm like, they fail to realize. Well, first off, something that came to my mind while you were elaborating on that is that people, like, what Republicans don't realize is that if they knew the real Jesus, many of them would probably be infuriated with him because he associated and interacted with people who in today's time they call like they don't have any time for. Like Jesus would have hung out with, and Jesus would have took the time to be concerned about people that they call ghetto mamas, or welfare mamas, and things that they like, those who them and their party overlook, and basically all they can say is, well, they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. This whole do it yourself, and well, if everybody has the same opportunity. If you work hard, you don't have to worry about struggling. That Jesus didn't say that to people who were poor. He didn't say that to people who were in economic hardship. When there was thousands of people that had followed Jesus to hear his words, and it was time for them to go home. Now his disciples, they now their mentality was, hey, we need to send these people away. We need to, they need to go. Which
they had no patience.
If I be honest, that kind of sounds a little Republican. So maybe some of the disciples, maybe some of the 12 apostles, maybe a couple of them was Republican. But Jesus said, he's like, he's like, no, you feed them. he's like, no, no, don't send them off and have them to fend for themselves. You minister to them, and but that's not but as hardcore as the Republican Party wants to tote itself as being the party of evangelicals and of Christians, that's not the sentiment. That's not the attitude that you see in that party. And by all means, and I am by no means a supporter of the Democratic Party. I have a laundry list of issues and problems with them as well. And like I said, when it comes to the sin of white supremacy, they got as much blood on their hands as Republicans do. So that's not my issue there. So I'm not trying to, wave the blue flag of the mule. I'm not. That's
no.
Not
we ain't got no allegiance to neither are. So anyone can get it.
Exactly. Both our political system as a whole is jacked up to where, especially if you're an ethnic minority, especially if you're black, because you don't have a party that really speaks for you. You have the Republican Party that speaks for the well-to-do upper crust conservative society that is largely Eurocentric and well-to-do, and then you have the Democrats who are pretty much ran and speak for the liberal elites, which is becoming more diverse, but that diversity really still isn't seen really trying to forward any issues about people of color.
We only matter during the time of voting season.
Exactly, and other than that,
votes are in. Then the plights and the concerns little matter after that.
When it comes to pushing diversity, anyway, we'll move on. Go ahead.
I was just going to say.
Take it away.
I was just going to say it was something you said.
In trouble.
It was something you said earlier. I was going to say when they want to deal with the poor and minorities and all that, it's not that they don't want to. They just want to deal with it on their terms. They want to control how the dealing is done. They help, but they help the way they want to help, maybe not the way that the help needs to be administered, the way they're comfortable with administering. So I watch a lot of churches that do a lot of overseas traveling and what they call missionary work and
mission trips.
Yeah, and then, all that, and that's cool. But there's communities right around the corner from you that that some of these folks won't even step in.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll travel thousands of miles overseas and take pictures with the starving, third world countries. And you smiling while handing them bread and handing them, but you got a neighborhood maybe 5 minutes from where you stay, 10 minutes from where you stay, and you wouldn't step 1 foot in that neighborhood. Yep. So to me,
it's hypocritical.
It's hypocritical, and it perpetuates the idea that America still has a stain of being racist to its own, its own minorities and its own black and brown people. And they'd rather go help brown and black people that they won't see after they leave after the months than the ones that stay in their actual nation. And that's concerning to me. But let's not go there because that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Let's go to the second part. And this still deals with Roy Moore. And this has been happening, the climate that we've been living in, I would say for the last, 5-6 years now, has been, if you are accused of anything, you are guilty when it comes to sexual harassment or sexual misconduct or rape or anything of that notion. You are guilty in most cases in the climate that we live in now. Like, I look at, of course, the person said, he said, have we ever seen anyone accused of this many accusers without something being true? And I go back and I think about how Bill Cosby was done. And some of the people or and this is going to be very touchy because we live in a climate where to even talk about this from an objective point is taboo. It's like you are not sensitive to the plight of women and what the so-called rape culture that exists in amongst male-dominated societies. And America is considered a male-dominated society, right now. So rape culture is a real thing. Let's not play that off. It's a real thing. It's happening. But I think there's a lot of saturation of false allegations that are offsetting the real allegations that's muddying the water. And to me, this is where the liberal-leaning minds get it wrong. There's a such thing as due process. And to me, you are guilty just by accusation. I look at the situation with Tavis Smiley. I look at the situation with Russell Simmons. I look at the situation with Roy Moore. I look at the situation with Bill Cosby. I look at the situation, not so much Harvey Weinstein, because he already admitted he was guilty.
Well, they caught him on tape.
Yeah. So, but when I look at, okay, and I know this is, and hear me good, people. Women should not be treated as sex objects in the workforce. They should be treated as co-workers, equals. They should be treated right. They should be not taken advantage of. They shouldn't have to pull any sex favors. None of this stuff should be condoned and allowed in the workplace, right? But there are situations where some of this stuff that is being done is not really what the media who's getting the views and the hits. Like, it's all messed up now, and the truth is lost because it's popular to talk about these topics. We want the interview of the different women who are accusing these folks of these heinous crimes. because that's going to cause more people to view to tune in. And as we do this, we're creating a climate where mere accusation is enough to get guilty. People are losing jobs, endorsements, support. Like I look at Tavis Smiley, PBS is a PBS, yeah. PBS dropped him. Walmart pulled his books. But Play That we was working on has been pulled. He's losing support. All his staff is out of work. And when I listened to him talk, they didn't even, from what he said and what's coming out about the investigation, they don't have nothing beyond an accusation. That's it. There's no facts. Nothing has been proven. It's just an accusation. And but his life has totally been altered. He hasn't went through any due process. He's guilty by what we would say
court of public opinion.
Public opinion. There you go. Thank you. Public opinion. He's guilty. Forget facts. Forget truth. He's guilty. And it's saying, and I know this might rub some feathers that lean the other way wrong, but even down the road more.
Yeah.
We have no tangible facts yet. It hasn't been ironed out in court yet. The guilty verdict hasn't came down yet, but he's guilty. And even though I don't feel like Christians should be standing in staunch support of him with this many accusations, I also don't think he should be treated as a criminal until he's been proven to be one. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And this is where I'm scared that we're giving too much power and we're empowering. And this goes to a place I'm not comfortable with going. I really ain't. But we're giving opportunists, and in this case, women who are opportunists, opportunity to get 15 minutes of fame, to get their name out, to ruin reputations, because the climate is such in a state that mere accusation is enough, especially if these people are prominent, powerful. I was talking to my wife, so I ain't just saying this from a male's perspective. Me and Trevon, he can now let him speak for him and his wife conversation. I asked my wife, I said, what do you feel about this? When it came down to Tavis Smiley, even down to Harvey Weinstein, and what's the other actor? A lot of these actors, I mean, you look around, everyone is getting caught up.
Journalists,
everything.
Charlie Rose.
Yeah. I asked my wife, because I wanted a woman's perspective, because they say we got male privilege. I don't want to be guilty of operating in my male privilege. So I asked my wife, get a perspective from a woman looking on who live in these environments, who have experienced some of these type of things where, people are hitting on them and stuff like that. She said some of it is true, but she said most of this is probably money. And it made me feel confident in saying I feel the same way. Money and greed and greed for ratings. And I know I'm rambling on. I gotta let you in here. Greed for ratings.
Good.
Greed for popularity. Greed for money. And a climate that doesn't care about truth, just what's the big story, has taken us down a path that, to me, when it's said and done, is going to hurt those true victims who really did get raped, really did get sexually harassed, really did experience horrific stuff on the workforce, women, because eventually it's going to hit a glass ceiling to where it's going to be even harder to be taken serious because of how much and how many, and then finding out a lot of these accusations are false. It's going to hurt, in my opinion. But go ahead, I'll let you in, man. I apologize for speaking so long.
No. I mean, you're good, man. Likewise, I spoke with my wife, and the thing is, my wife has been an individual who has actually dealt with abuse at the hands of abusive young men.
Right.
And that's something that that has caused her a lot of trauma, throughout her life, and it's not something she takes lightly, and it's something that she detests. Anytime she sees any type of abuse, especially abuse, at the hands of men. She doesn't take that lightly. And I don't either. I mean, yes, I'm a male, and I understand that I have male privilege. Like in other words, I see things from a man's perspective, predominantly. Which I mean, I think that kind of makes sense since I am a man. But at the same time, I do recognize and realize that it's wrong. To treat women, as subordinates and like they're lesser than us. But at the same time, my wife, with her, painful past and background, even she felt like that there's a possibility that maybe there's a bit of a witch hunt beginning to kind of take place.
Yeah.
And as you stated, Saf, I know what we're saying is not going to be popular at all. And I'm in support of the Me Too, the hashtag Me Too and hashtag Church Too, and all these movements that are giving women the courage to come forward and to speak about the pain and the trauma that they have dealt with. For those who have really genuinely been assaulted or been abused or been hurt. But as you were saying, Staff, the thing is, I guess the concern is, and like I said, it's not just a concern of just two guys who don't have a woman's perspective. No, it is the concern of also of women who don't want to see the quote unquote market flooded, so to speak. I mean, for lack of a better term, or as you were saying, muddying the waters. They don't want to see people coming up, trying to take opportunity, and like somebody who, say for instance, somebody who they went out with somebody and they chose, and I do mean they chose to be involved with somebody, but then later on they just decided, you know what, I hate that I did that, and then all of a sudden they want to say, well, I didn't want that, when they clearly did choose, and now they want to join the movement, and I don't think that's fair, because I couldn't do that, I couldn't, I couldn't get with somebody and then be with that person and make the choice to be with that person and get involved. But then if my friends find out, or if or in my case, I'm married and my wife finds out, I'd be like, all of a sudden now, what? No, the thing is, I never wanted that, no. And I understand, and I know the argument with that example would be, well, you're a man, you're the stronger, you're going to be the stronger of the two, which I could actually probably debate that, because if someone would see me, they probably be like, well, maybe you aren't the stronger of the two, but anyway, but no, I mean, what I'm saying is that where, first off, this awareness is definitely needed. There does need to be a spotlight shined on the atrocities that have happened to women. Women have been abused for centuries. I mean, women have had it rough. They've had it bad. I'm not denying that. But the fact that the rape culture is a reality, there also is a reality of those who have screamed rape and they were crying wolf.
Yeah.
And that is a reality. That
both are realities that
and
need to be dealt with at the exact same time.
And it's like you can't browbeat one because you're trying to you want to make sure one gets its due moment in the sunshine, so you got to browbeat the other one into silence or maybe even non-existence. You can't do that. It's like
you create an unbalance.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so it's like there's no room for discussion if the person on the other side is saying stuff we don't agree with, and this kind of touches on something that I wanted to kind of address about the clip that you played.
I got another one queued up. That's gonna basically, it's a woman's perspective. That's I wanted to play it, but go ahead and finish your thought, and then I'll play it.
Yeah,
then we continue.
This should be real quick. And I meant to address this with you. I want to say, like, the day you sent me that clip, and the day I saw it. One thing that I noticed, like when the lady was addressing the pastor and was asking him the questions about Roy Moore and how could he be supportive of him as a pastor. One of the things I noticed was that, and he in the past even brought this up, whether he was right or wrong, he was never given the chance to actually state his position or express himself. Now, if like for our listeners, if they were to go back and hear that full clip and listen to that whole interview, if they were to listen to the pastor and his responses or attempts to respond versus the gentleman the part of the clip that you played where the gentleman spoke, he never once was interrupted. Not once was he interrupted. The entire time that the pastor tried to talk, he was interrupted over and over and over again. And that's one of the things I see, especially. I'm probably gonna be anyway.
Go ahead, man. We go ahead.
With liberal agendas, with those that are pushing liberal agendas, they are so good at that. The moment you try to counter with your reasoning or why you believe a certain thing, they immediately want to come in, they want to browbeat you down and like, but how can you and they want to come at you like that, they
name call, typecast you.
Yes, they have the moral high ground. You're a bigot. You're a Neanderthal. You're unevolved. I mean, it's just and they come at you like you're unsophisticated. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's
the exact same thing. It's the exact same strategy on both sides. One is conservative,
absolutely
pushing conservative agendas, and the other is pushing liberal agendas. Both are controlled by people who want control.
I would even go as far as saying, I'm not gonna take credit for this. I heard it was even said that where the liberals, especially the strategy that like the LGBT movement uses and how they kind of browbeat people back from defending their positions against them. They say they actually got it from the moral majority. They got it from the evangelical religious right in like during like the 70s and the 80s when it was the strategy that they used to use against those who were on the margins of society to try to make sure to keep them out of the center of politics and the center of culture, to kind of keep them on the fringes. But now that's the tables have turned. So now they're actually the very strategy that they use is now being used against them.
Right. They don't allow you to be different and have your own beliefs. Like, we might agree here but we don't agree on everything. We might agree about this right, but we might not agree with that right. Like one position I might lean conservative, another position I might be more liberal.
Yes.
And we don't allow people to be that no more. You either are.
Absolutely.
I might, I feel this way about abortion.
Uh-huh.
And I feel this way about LGBT.
Yeah.
They might not line up all conservative and all liberal. But I can't be that, and so you don't let me have that space. But let me play this, and then we get back on it.
Okay.
And this is off the Roland Martin. What is that? Someone. What is
TV?
That?
It's TV One.
TV One. Yeah.
It was on TV One. Yeah.
So here it is. I'm gonna play this real quick. And I can't think of the person's name. It's a woman, but just listen to it. It's gonna start out with a male talking. And then the woman is going to interject and speak for him and say what he could not say. And he gives them, but it was powerful. But here we go.
And you're not going to be able to back out and say, I'm not the brain.
But is that harassment? Being in a relationship with somebody and it doesn't go right, is that harassment to me?
It's not harassment, but in this particular season that we're in,
and
this
that's a problem. That's a big problem because he's paying a price right now. And we don't really know. Now we're doing, guilty until proven innocent.
Absolutely.
So we don't really know what Tavis's situation is. We don't have all the information, but he's now paid a price already. So let's say we find out that it wasn't harassment. Is he going to get all his stuff back?
And that's
what I'm saying?
That's the challenging thing because consensual relationships are now falling into the
landscape. Which is incredible. There's two people involved. I'm not saying that there's not harassment. This is a very serious issue. Women get harassed, but a woman makes a decision too in this to get involved in a relationship.
I'm glad you said that. It wasn't me.
All right. The idea that somehow these men are coercing these women and forcing them. No. If you're attracted to somebody and you get in a relationship, these are consensual. These are adults. And if somebody worked at ABC News for 4 years, I'm shocked to find that somebody's in trouble for a consensual relationship with somebody at work. I mean, I'm like, what? Because the whole place would have been fired when I was there. I mean, stuff does happen. People do have affairs. These are adult people.
But Eugene, I mean, what we have seen now what you've seen. First of all,
okay, so I like what she said because, and what he was saying, the needle has been moved so far out of what is or what is normally described or fits, the description of harassment. The needle has been moved to the point that any and every interaction between a woman and male on the workforce could be considered harassment now. Meaning, okay, in his position, he had a relationship with a coworker. Now, of course, he owns the company and everything like that. But like she said, it was two adults having a relationship. It didn't work out. What we got to prove is, did he change how he treated her? Did he take opportunities away from her? Did he fire her? Did he target her? Those haven't been proven yet. These are accusations. But like she said, he has lost everything and nothing has been proven. And she said if that was the case, everybody she ever worked, every company she worked, the company she had worked for, everybody would have been fired if what now is considered harassment and sexual abuse and all this is considered what it is now in the climate that it is now. She said a lot of folks where she was working at would have been gone too. It's like, where do we draw the line and how much can we allow to flow into this narrative? Because there are people really being raped. There are people really being sexually harassed. There are people really being stalked. These things are really happening. These women are really experiencing this stuff. But then you have women who are vindictive and just want to get back because they're no longer in a relationship, or it didn't go the way that they wanted, or they were the person that he was dating or she was dating or whatever. Now she's or he is dating someone else. In most cases, it'll be a he now. He dating someone else. And the attention is on that person. That could be, we don't know. It's so I don't know, Trev. It's so muddled and I don't know. It's like, man, how do we fix this? because everything is under the umbrella of harassment now. And it's like you're going down a slippery slope when you start, and then when it's sensationalized through media and they just want the interview and they bring it, like I'll leave it alone after this. During Bill Cosby's situation, this was fact proven. They caught at least, I know for a fact, 2 or 3 that I saw. They caught 2 or 3 women in direct lies on air. Like it was clearly that the person was lying, fabricating their story, exaggerating their story and their accounts. Even one stated that they had a relationship prior to the night she claimed she had gotten raped. They asked her the question, had you had this type of relationship with him before, like sexual relationship with him before? And she was like, yes, we had sex many times before. But all of a sudden, this night he raped me. It was like, the interviewer was like really puzzled by, like, wait a minute, y'all, you mean to tell me you had sex with Bill Cosby before this night? Yeah, we had sex afterwards. Do this, I can show you the video. And there were several witnesses that had stories like this, to the point of what you said, witch hunt. The lawyer that was trying to go against Cosby were going out and basically funding different women who would come with stories. Now, in that, there were a few stories that were true. But look at all the stuff you had to filter through and all the media frenzy you had to go through and all the fakery and basically for views you had to go through to get to the real legit stories that Bill Cosby needs to answer for.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do we stop this to where women who are really being abused, who are really experiencing horrific situations on job from men, can get heard and their voices are heard, and we're not just letting anyone in that are opportunists and that's trying to get a piece of the pie any way that they can get it. And this is a scary place. And I thought, man, I literally had a sit-down talk with my son. That's how serious I took it. Like, dude, you cannot play. Anything can be taken wrong, and any accusation can end your opportunities and put you in a place that you don't want to be. You literally got to be careful in a way that even I would say when we were coming up, we had the same talk, but not like today, I would say. So
yeah.
But go ahead.
No, man. I mean, I feel you on that. Like, I echo the brother's sentiment who said when he told, he's like, I'm glad you said that because I mean, right now, I mean, because the way the climate is, we're not allowed, you know, according to the rules right now, we're not allowed to even say anything unless it's in full agreement with what's going on. We don't have a voice, or not a relevant one. We have a voice of opposition. We have a voice. We have a villainized voice. If we say anything other than what's being, you know, if we're not saying a Me Too or you know, or whatever, then we're the enemy. And it's a little more nuanced than that. I mean, but yeah, I thought it was necessary and needful for a voice such as that young woman's voice. You know, I really felt that was necessary and needed because, as she stated, I mean, what this is problematic because what is this leading to? This is basically we're accelerating and gaining high speed, but are we heading toward a cliff? That's the question.
Yeah,
you know
that's what I'm saying. It's eventually going to hit a glass ceiling, and it's going to hurt. The real victims are going to be the ones who lose out.
Mm-hmm.
Because once okay, eventually people won't. Okay, eventually people going to want to hear the truth. The frenzy of it ain't going to be as exciting no more. Eventually, you're going to want to get down to who's telling the truth and who's lying. And once that happens, if a lot of wolves were interviewed, like you said, is a lot of people crying wolf, and you find out that a lot of these accusations was just that, accusations, no proof to none of this, then it makes you question anyone after that who is telling the truth will be also looked at. Are they crying wolf? And it's like, man, and we got to move this out of being judged in public opinion and back into due process.
Yeah.
These folks' names should not be being drugged unless there's proof and true evidence of a crime or a sexual indecency has been enacted. Like the story, I can't remember the comedian's name. He admitted to what the woman had said, and many women that worked with him said, walking around in his offices with nothing on and showing his genitalia and stuff like that. Like, this is crazy, and this stuff is happening. But we need to hear the true stuff so we can address this. And men, and another thing I don't like, man, is this broad stroking.
You talking about Louis C.K.?
Yeah, Louis C.K. Yeah, but this broad stroking, me and you listen to a lot of different podcasts, and I've noticed that the men that's on the podcast are scared to say anything too contrary or raising any question to what is being said, or they do the liberal thing. They're so politically correct that they co-sign things that could be potentially destructive to truth. I don't want to just co-sign you because you're a woman, and I don't think that's why we should co-sign. We should co-sign truth. And if it's a woman saying the truth, we should co-sign it. If it's a man telling the truth, we should co-sign that. We shouldn't just be co-signing something because it's the cool and current thing to do. We've seen this narrative, and that's how bad laws get passed. That's how bad narratives continue to perpetuate, and we never get to any truth because everybody being either politically correct, and politically correct is being determined by what's popular and what's taboo. All right, it's taboo to ask, okay, are you telling the truth about this accusation? That's taboo because now we ain't sensitive to the plight of women. So instead of asking, are you telling the truth, I just give you the mic and let you spew. And he did this, he did that, and he forced this and he forced that, and then the next woman come. And then we don't know if these women are telling the truth. That man's life is messed up. And we don't. It was a good 10, 15 minutes. Oh man, that's crazy if it is true. But that's the whole thing. If it's true, where's due process? We got to get to due process, man. And I'll even say this down, and Trev, the sensationalizing of media and news, is hurting. Like, I look at the situation with Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I remember on MSNBC, Rachel, I can't think of her name. She had supposedly had a letter or Trump's taxes. And to be first, it wasn't even nothing in the taxes worth talking about. But because she had it, she wanted to be first, and she wanted to say, we finally got his taxes. And she started talking about it and trying to find something there to criminalize him. And actually, she helped him because there was nothing there. And she had to come back and apologize because it was all a ratings grab. That's all it was. And the whole Russia thing. And it's media has gotten away from doing true research for truth. It's just about what's going to get the ratings up, what's going to get the hits, and forget about truth. We would never know, we would never know what's going on in the climate that we live in with the news, with investigations, with accusations. because everyone just want we got to get them all. Let's get them on. Like Ball, LeVar Ball. Look how many shows this man done been on.
Quite a few.
This dude went from being on ESPN and Fox Sports, where he probably should be, being Lonzo's father and the big baller brand, to get on CNN and MSNBC and arguing with Trump and like what? This is that's retarded. The whole situation is a cash grab, is a ratings grab. The true victim,
and he's eating it up,
rightfully so.
Yeah,
but
he's eating it up
because of the climate, and it ain't about truth no more. It's about who can give me bigger ratings, who can keep you tuning in. So yeah, tell your story. Tell how bad what he do. He gave me pills, and he said it was, you drunk. Yeah, I drunk them. And did you have a relationship with him before? Yes, we had. We had sex all the time. But this time I said no. Like, get off my show. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we, it's like, dude, it's a mockery, it's a joke, and it's real victims getting lost in the fray because of a climate that is all about ratings and hits. And if we don't put a stop to this, it's just going to be, our news is just going to be entertainment. Our news is entertainment now. We don't go to hear the news. We go to get entertained for the most part, because we go to wherever channel lead to what we believe. We go to Fox because Fox going to say all the stuff we want to say. They're going to say all the pro-Trump stuff we want to hear. We go to CNN. They supposed to be neutral, but we know that they not, and they push their LGBT leading stuff. They push all the stuff they got. You want that? You go to MSNBC if you Democratic and you want the anti-Trump stuff. Nothing is truth.
everything has a bias to it.
Yeah, it's like, so where's the truth at? Where is the truth? And I feel sorry for the climate, man. So it is low morals and no standards. No standards in news, no standards in reporting. Our Christian values, you got a lot of evangelicals that put more faith in politics and social party or political party than they put in Christ and the church. I don't know. I'm done. I'm off my little soliloquy. Go ahead, bro. It's crazy, man.
I mean, I echo your sentiment, man. I mean, we live, like you said. I mean, the climate we live in. I mean, it's full of sensationalism. The sad thing about it is that we're supposed to be in a reality, quote unquote reality TV kind of era, but it's the most fakest, the most sensationalized, it's the most scripted. I never thought reality TV would be some of the most scripted stuff, and and we can't get enough of it. Like all that drama, all that stuff is trumped up and created, and we can't get enough of it. Like just as long as it's drama, just as long as it's something to keep us, exhilarated and stimulated and tantalized. It's just as long as it has all the markings of drama and everything, and we good, we game, and we've gotten like that with news. We want to be shocked, we want to be thrilled, we want to be wowed. It's like as you were alluding to, the news used to be a place that used to inform us, used to keep us informed, that we would, know what was going on, and that we would, be able to, have, deep discussions about current events and what's going on in our society, what's going on in our neighborhoods, what's going on in our country and in our government, and in our our various industries and professions that are abroad. Like we could once have healthy discussions about, which, I mean, we still can't have healthy discussions about what goes on in the news, but you know, like you said, it is a media, it is a ratings grab, you know, nowadays. You know, and it's about who breaks the story first, you know, and so, you know, we do live in a climate that is chock full of just a bunch of, you know, sensationalism.
Yeah, that's it. And until and eventually at some point, man, because that's what's wrong. If people want to say what's wrong with our government, the problem with our government is they're conditioned you to rather watch entertainment and be you don't care about the truth. They just spin it to my narrative. I like Trump. Make sure you talk good about Trump and I'm fine. I hate Trump. Make sure you down Trump every other line and I'm fine. I don't care about the truth. And since you don't care about the truth, the politics that you get from those shows ain't giving you the truth. And so you confused and you distracted, and they passing laws all around you. They taking away your rights. They doing whatever, like net neutrality. Have you even seen this on CNN, Fox, or anywhere? No, they ain't even talking about it. The fact that they finna take away, and if they have their way, and it's already been passed with the FCC, they still got to go through the courts and I think stuff. But if they do that, they're gonna have it to where your internet will be bundled like cable television,
like cable. Yeah,
they can block YouTube. You can't access YouTube on your internet service. You can't access Netflix. You don't know none of that because your entertainment news ain't gonna tell you about that because they have some stock or position in it that
they benefit from it.
They benefit from not telling you about that. So they keep you distracted over here while they doing stuff over here. And it's all a game. And like I said, truth ain't the end of the game. Your time, your view, and they gonna entertain you. As long as they can entertain you, they gonna play on your biases. They gonna play on your itching ear. Like the scriptures say, they won't endure sound. They won't. It still that works. Not just with the Bible. People don't want to hear truth. Just tell me. Just keep lying to me and tell me what I want to hear. I want to hear that Trump is a good president. I know he ain't good, but I want to hear it. I'm going to go to Fox. They're going to tell me all this witch hunt and this Russian stuff is a lie and a hoax and fake news this and fake news that. Well, I can't stand Trump. I'm going to turn to MSNBC, and they're going to be all day long trying to catch Trump up in something. And we got proof that Trump was colluding with the Russians. It's all a game. You ain't getting no real news. you don't
get propaganda.
You get propaganda. You getting a basically ads thrown at you all day for what you already lean toward.
Yep.
Ain't challenging you, ain't challenging how you think, ain't challenging your position, ain't challenging how you understand. And most will not research for themselves to find real news, of real coverage of news. So when I see this and I listen to women and men come on these shows and they interview some of the most uncredible people who just looking at this person ain't credible, but the one with the real story probably would never even get on the show because their story ain't entertaining enough. It ain't provocative enough. You know, they ain't getting on. No, he didn't treat me right. It's just straight to the point. Oh, they'll never get that. They won't talk about that, but they'll bring the one on here who they know lying and give her 15, 20, bring her on 3-4 times until she get proven that she was a liar or he's a liar or whatever. It's just a sad situation where we at as a nation. That's why Trump is our president. That's why our politics is like they are. That's why our nation is like it is. It's a nation of entertainment, little substance. And until we get back to wanting to hear some real substance, we ain't gonna change as a nation. Bottom line, you know. Right. So it ends up. The title speaks for itself. We're a nation of low morals and no standards. And the church, all the way from the White House to the church. Low morals, no standards for a lot of individuals and major players in these positions, man. So I hope there's at some point a light switch is triggered and someone in a position of influence wakes up and begin to speak out against this chaotic mess that we call news and entertainment. I can't even watch sports no more, man. It ain't even really. It's all entertainment now. It ain't. It's just crazy. Everywhere you turn, like you said, reality is faker than the stuff that's supposed to be a sitcom. The reality show faker than the sitcom now. You made that was a strong point. I liked how you put that.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, I pay attention to that stuff, man, all the time. How you got so much stuff out here now, man. Like, there's nothing that you can really trust nowadays. I won't say nothing, but like going back to reality TV. I mean, it's like there was a time where I thought it actually really was that it was reality TV. And I think maybe a period of time, maybe it was, I mean, I remember back when The Real World first came out, on MTV, and but now, man, you look at it, man. I mean, it's just like with Love and Hip Hop. I mean, it's just oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
Housewives of Atlanta, all this mess, man, just garbage.
It's crazy, man.
It is. So, I guess we can wrap this up. I guess, do we want to hit on the topic about the friends? Like, the question was, is our friendship real or am I the token?
Oh man, I say save that, man. That's a whole nother. That's a whole.
Like I said, do you want to hit that up for the next podcast?
Yeah.
Because I think that'd be an interesting topic and this go across boards because both, I think it's just something that I believe the Lord brought to my thoughts. Are we friends for real? Because I don't want to say you my white friend. When I say you my friend, your color, your ethnicity don't even come into the conversation. You my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so stay tuned for that. We'll tackle that. I thought that was very interesting. But any final thoughts on this before we get out of here?
Man, just support. Much support to the Me Too movement, man. Much support to to the church too. Which is basically those who have endured abuse and sexual assault within the church, which is extremely horrific. But it's sad. It is a sad reality. But man, just that we're just trying to keep trying to keep the conversation. I mean, with both perspectives, like both sides of this. Not trying to drown out the fact that hey, this also could be going on as well. It's like, but no, I mean we are, we fully support. We fully stand behind the women who are letting their voices be heard, who are no longer going to, stand in the shadows and suffer in silence and struggle and wrestle with the abuse, of the past or present. We stand alongside, these women, who are unleashing their voices, and so we want to, here and now, put our support out there for that, definitely, and just rate, review, comment, let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, I echo that. What I want to see is true conversation. I think women need to teach men and like what to look out for, what is crossing the line, what they experience, because we don't know. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things we don't know, and I'm not a woman. I don't know what a woman experiences, and that's why I went to my wife and asked her, like, what do you think about this? Because you're a woman, you deal with us all the time, and I can't speak for you, and vice versa. I think as a conversation, this should be used as a conversation to bring healing to women who have been treated and mistreated in the workforce. I think their voice needs to be heard loud because they are victims, and in more cases than men everywhere are. But there are cases where men are victims and being targeted and taken advantage of. Also, and I think both conversations, I think, will balance each other out to a way that we're actually having a healthy conversation and not a unbalanced conversation, like the lady was saying. Some of this stuff is two grown people. Like, it was a story. Let me say this, and we get out of here. Analogy that was given from a person. He was basically saying if both parties were drunk, how the climate is now. Should I say this, Trev? What do you say? Both parties are drunk. We go out, we both get drunk, and something happened. In the climate we live in now, the man is still responsible, even though both parties were drunk. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I ain't gonna mess with that.
Nah, I was gonna say just leave that be.
Let it be. But anyway. But yeah, I agree. I stand with Trev as also I'm for the plight of women. I'm not giving no out for men. I just don't want to basically muddle and murk the plight of women by those who are opportunists. I feel like the real women who are really abused need to be heard, and they have a real story to tell. And I don't think entertainment and views should dilute the true story. And I want to hear these stories so I can teach my son and I can teach myself, and understand their plight. And that's my fear, that entertainment and views is basically ruining the conversation, because and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. So no, I'm like you said, I stand for the woman. I feel like in most cases, a woman ain't gonna just come out and accuse you like that. But in this current climate, it is a lot of opportunity in the accuse in levying the accusation alone. But I'll leave that alone. But anyway, stay tuned for our next podcast. This is your boy Staff D.
This is Trey. This is your boy Ministry.
And we'll see y'all on the next one. We probably won't see you before Christmas, so happy Christmas. Make sure you give me a Christmas present so I can put it on the mic. No, I'm just playing. But anyway, man, this is the Live and Level Gamers podcast. I mean, not Live and Level, but this is the Thinking Out Loud, Dangerous Mind. About to sign out. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. This is like I said, this is your boy Ministry. Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you all have a awesome holiday season. Whether you celebrating Christmas as me and Staff do, or you celebrating Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, or whatever you celebrating, just have a Merry Christmas. Have a safe and happy holiday season, and hey, make it back to work. Survive them office parties and things of that nature. Make it back home, make it back to work safe, man. And just wish everybody just a happy time and a happy season. From the Dangerous Minds podcast, man. We just want to tell everybody, hey, we we concerned about our listeners. You know what I'm saying? So hey, take care of yourselves. But with that being said, signing off. Later.
All right, deuces.